Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Birth Lounge podcast. You guys, I'm freaking pregnant! I cannot even believe I am saying that. This is absolutely crazy to be on this side of everything. For the last 10 years, I have helped thousands of women plan their birth, overcome their fears, face the things that they didn't know about, but they knew deep down in their heart, in their intuition, in their soul, that they were meant for something more. They were meant for something bigger. They were meant to speak up, to advocate for themselves. And I got to walk along their sides in those journeys. I got to hold their hands. I got to rub their backs. Oh my gosh, I'm just in awe of the honor that I've had over the last decade and just how amazing it is to be on this side of things and how much gratitude I have that I'm here and I get to do this alongside you. On Monday, I shared on social media our announcement, and to be completely honest, I'm gonna cry. You guys really just blew me away with how much love you showered me and Mr. HeHe and baby He with, and I know that people love baby announcements, but the comment section was filled with much deeper comments than just congrats. There were a ton of congratulations, but then there were so many of our past clients that said, now it's your turn, and just reminiscing on their own births, and people saying that they were so happy and they had been waiting on this news, and I can't handle it. I can't handle how much you guys love my little family. I feel so blessed and happy and just literally overcome with gratitude that I get to be surrounded by you guys every day, that you guys choose to be part of my life. You voluntarily follow along with my story. You allow me the honor to be part of your story. You give me the greatest gift of stepping you through such an incredible and vulnerable time in your life. And now it's my turn to share that with you guys. And boy, it is just hitting so hard. Oh my gosh. Okay. Gotta get it together. Gotta get it together. Whoa. Pregnancy hormones. Crazy. Okay. Holy moly. I've not been emotional at all this pregnancy, which is funny because, if you are a longtime listener of the show, then I am not afraid to cry. I am an incredibly sensitive person and I'm an empath, so I feel things very deeply. If you listen to the show, then you hear it, but if you watch me on YouTube, then you know that I cry a lot. I feel things deeper than most people do, and for a long time, I really tried to bury that part of me and I tried to shut it down. But as I got older, I really realized that it was kind of the superpower that I have. I can feel how others are feeling without them even telling me. I can make other people feel so safe with just my presence. I can understand what someone is going through without having to go through it myself. And I have to be honest, I don't know where it comes from. It's just this intuitive pull that I have. And before I got pregnant, I definitely thought that I would be really emotional. I thought that I would be just crying all the time and really sensitive, and that has not been my journey at all. Matter of fact, as far as symptoms go, I've been feeling amazing. I've been telling everybody when they say, like, how are you feeling? And I think that people naturally expect you to say, oh, I'm feeling horrible, or like I'm feeling terrible, or whatever they're expecting. But I have been feeling so great. And I keep joking with people that if I didn't know I was pregnant, I wouldn't know I was pregnant. I, of course, have some fatigue, but what's new? Just being an adult alive in the United States in 2025 is so exhausting that I feel like fatigue is just part of normal life now. And of course, I'm an entrepreneur. I own a business that has multiple different avenues and multiple different parts and pieces to it. So, who's to say that it's pregnancy exhaustion versus just being alive exhaustion? But no, I have been tired. I've always been someone that loves sleep. So always, always. And I'm not going to lie, I love a good nap. What I will say has changed is I used to not give in to my naps because I just didn't. And now that I'm pregnant and I know that I'm pregnant, I will nap if I feel really, really tired. And for me, that's twofold. So not only am I giving my body the break and the rest that it needs, but it's also the start of this journey of carving out space to listen to my body, even when my brain is pushing me to do something different. So as an entrepreneur, and especially now that I'm pregnant and I know that at the end of the year and the beginning of 2026, I will be out on maternity leave, I do feel this pressure to, kind of bang out work and get a lot of stuff done and accomplished. And so my brain, the logistical side, the logical side of me says, don't nap, push through, get the work done, because in just a few months, you are going to be on maternity leave and you're going to need to have stockpiled a bunch of work and content and videos for your audience and for the Birth Lounge members and for the people who you educate and who learn from you. But I want to start practicing now, because one thing that I've always preached in pregnancy to my clients is that you have a set amount of time. You have only 9 to 10 months. And so what you do in the beginning of pregnancy matters a lot, because it's how you're going to act in the end of pregnancy. And so it's very important to me that not only am I walking the walk and talking the talk of all the things that I have taught you guys over the last 10 years, but that I'm actually honoring my own body and my own journey in this. And part of that is resting when my body is asking for rest and not pushing through. So resisting that urge to keep going, even though I know that my body could use a break. Other symptoms that I have been having is a little bit of insomnia. I've been waking up like clockwork at 4 a.m. and it's been kind of funny because I just didn't expect it. When people told me about pregnancy insomnia, I always kind of envisioned it being like throughout the night, or they just like struggled to get to sleep, or they struggled to stay asleep, but they were getting broken sleep. But for me, it has manifested in that every single morning I wake up at 4 a.m. on the dot pretty much, and I'm just awake for a few hours. And I've tried a couple of different remedies. I started out just meditating and reading and trying to kind of coax my body and my brain back into a place of rest and sleep, and that didn't really work. So then I implemented something that you guys are all well familiar with. I talk about it all the time: magnesium before bed. I've been using the Calm powder, and I will just take it before bed, hoping that it would help me sleep a little longer. And while it did help me sleep better and deeper, it didn't help me sleep past that 4 a.m. mark. So then I spoke with my midwife, and she told me that a lot of times when you're waking up at night in pregnancy, especially in the first trimester, it's an indicator of low blood sugar and might mean that you're not eating enough during the day. So I did up like my caloric intake and my protein, and I was sure to eat something, usually chocolate milk, right before bed, and that didn't really help either. And so then I spoke to my chiropractor about it and my acupuncturist, and they both said that it was probably just hormonal and it would go away after the first trimester. And I am happy to reveal to you that I am now in the second trimester. I just entered it. I turned 13 weeks on Monday when we announced. And yeah, it has gone away. For the last 2 weeks, I have been sleeping later and later. And we actually had a little celebratory Monday morning dance party because I slept all the way until 7:15, and it felt like a huge win. And so Mr. HeHe and I did a short little dance party in our room, actually right before we went to see our hospital midwife, which I'll talk about the team that I've put together to care for me and baby HeHe during this time in a little bit. Okay, another symptom that I was familiar with, but I was totally just not expecting, and it caught me completely off guard, is how sore and sensitive my nipples are. And I'm telling you, even now at 13 weeks, almost 14, I'm just a few days shy of 14 weeks, and it has not gone away. You guys, my nipples are so sore. I literally will yell out in pain if something even brushes up against them. I have been wearing the Lancino cooling gel pads since about 5 weeks pregnant, and I'm now 13 weeks pregnant, and I wear them every single day. The water in the shower running over my nipples hurt. Drying them off if I accidentally rub the towel, and we have very soft waffle towels. They are a couple years old, so they're like nice and broken in. They're so soft and cozy, and they hurt so bad. I have this big, nice plush robe. Like, it's so soft and cozy. Not even that can touch my nipples without me like having to take a deep breath and, oh God. So it's been really painful, and I just, to be completely honest, I was not expecting it. I knew about like sore breasts, and I knew that you had some tenderness, but I gotta be honest, the actual like pain that it has caused, it just, I don't know. I didn't see it coming, and I certainly didn't see it lasting this long, and it's something that I was totally unprepared for, so it really just caught me off guard. Okay, two other things that I feel the need to tell you, which may be a little TMI, but I mean, honestly, what's TMI around here? I guess nothing. At the end of the day, we're all talking about our private lady bits. And those two things both revolve around your gastric system, and that is the burps. I had no idea how burpy pregnancy made you. I am not a generally like gassy person in general, and wow, I just burp all day long. I have even tried out different prenatals, and it doesn't change anything at all, actually. It's just burps, constant burps. And then the other thing is, when I first got pregnant, I felt like I was pooping 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. Like I could not get it under control. And at first, I actually, before I knew I was pregnant, I actually thought something was going on with my gastric system. I was like, oh no, I hope I don't have a virus. And then, you guys, sudden U-turn, hard left. You go from like pooping your pants multiple times a day, cannot control the prostaglandins in your system, to like hard constipation. Haven't pooped in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Okay? You got a belly the size of a basketball, not because your baby is grown in there, but because your belly is filled with poop. And I did not expect that at all. I was so caught off guard by the sudden and abrupt shift in bowel habits. And I don't know. Honestly, I felt a little betrayed by you guys. Every time my stomach would hurt, or every time I would go to the bathroom, I'd be like, I got a bone to pick with my people, because ain't near one of them told me about this. And this is pretty brutal. I knew that pregnancy constipation was obviously a thing, and I just did not know that it hit in the first trimester like that. I have always just been under the impression that it came later. Now, nothing that I did fixed it. I could not drink enough coffee. I could not drink enough magnesium. I could not drink enough water. And after about 3 weeks, it kind of resolved itself. Now my bowel habits are back to normal. However, I do notice some constipation if I don't stay hydrated enough. So one of my biggest goals has been to get in 120 ounces every single day. I was already pretty vigilant about hydration before pregnancy, just because I felt like it made me feel better. I felt healthier. My skin looked better. I slept better. It staved off headaches. But now in pregnancy, I am being so religious about it, and I'm absolutely getting in 120 ounces every day. I have been doing a lot of travel in the first trimester, and so on travel days, I notice that my hydration goes a little bit down, and I'm not staying as hydrated, and so that will obviously lend itself to, just having like a little stopped up belly, which I know travel and vacation constipation is common for a lot of us, and I just feel like pregnancy adds to that. Okay, enough about my poop habits. Let's talk about my cravings. So one of the first signs that I should have known that I was pregnant was my cravings for fish tacos. You guys, I don't even eat Mexican food. I don't even like tacos. And for 21 days straight, I woke up and was like, I need fish tacos now. One time, you guys, I literally drove 40 minutes to get fish tacos. I was craving them so badly. It was an unbearable craving. It was like I had to have them no matter what, and if I did not get them, I could not stop thinking about them. It would keep me up at night. There was nothing that could satiate it. I would be going through our cabinets like a ravenous wild animal, and I could not satiate the craving if I did not get my hands on some fish tacos. Mr. HeHe even asked me, what in the world has gotten into you? And I just point blank said, I don't know. I think I like Mexican food now. And we both thought it was so weird. Of course, this is before we knew that we were pregnant. And it should have been our first clue that something was in fact up. But as one does, you just say, I guess your palate has changed, and I have found a newfound love for fish tacos, and we went with it. And unbeknownst to us, a few weeks later, we would in fact be finding out that we were pregnant. Another craving that I have had is cereal, which I have recently found out that that's a very common one. A lot of people love cereal and milk late at night. And then I have to say my number one craving so far has been ice cold chocolate milk. But when I say ice cold, I mean in the freezer. It needs to have ice crystals on it. I like it when the top of it is a little frozen. And when I put a straw through it, it has to break through a little kind of barrier of frozen chocolate milk. Oh my gosh, nothing makes me feel the way that half frozen chocolate milk makes me feel. And I've always been a big chocolate milk drinker. I love chocolate milk, but the ice coldness and the intensity of the craving, again, it's something where I'm like, I need chocolate milk right now. Give me the chocolate milk or get out of my way. It's like I can't live without the chocolate milk. And if it's not ice cold, it doesn't do it. Now, before I tell you about finding out that I was pregnant, I want to tell you one last thing that I was just caught off guard by, and it should have been another tip off that I was in fact pregnant, and it was that my taste buds and my nose were so intensified. I literally felt like I could smell things from multiple floors away. So we live in a 3-story house. There are 3 floors in our home. And I have never, ever been able to smell things from the first floor up in my office, which resides on the 3rd floor. And I could. And again, before I knew I was pregnant, I would be like, oh my God, whatever is down there, I can smell it so strongly. Like, that is so weird. My dog would come in, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you are such a stinky boy. And nobody in the room, nobody else would smell him. Nobody else would feel like he was so stinky. We would go out to dinner, and I felt like I could taste individual ingredients in things. So in plates and dishes and foods that I have eaten a million times before started to taste not bad, but just different because I felt like I could taste individual ingredients. We went out to dinner one time and they served water in a metal cup, and I actually had to send it back and ask for a glass cup because I could not get over the smell and the taste of the metallic in the water from the metal cup. Also, so much water, and it has just been, there's no rhyme or reason to it, so it's been so weird. But there's so many times where I have gone to drink water and it smells like wet dog to me, and of course that's disgusting. So then I'm like gagging, and it's like, ugh, this tastes so disgusting. And then I feel like I can't drink water unless it's bottled water. And so if they don't have bottled water at wherever we are, it's like then I have to choose something else to drink. And it's actually been kind of a mess. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting it. It wasn't something that I was prepared for. And yeah, I just feel like my taste buds and my nose have been top-notch, A-plus players here. I mean, they really have just shown up full throttle. They have just found their place at the front of the line, and they are loving pregnancy. Okay, and I know I just said that I would tell you how we found out we were pregnant, and I promised to do that next, but something just dropped into my head, and it is the dreams. What? Freaking pregnancy dreams are insane, you guys. Like, insane. One time when I was about 6 weeks pregnant, 7 weeks pregnant maybe, I had a dream about Brian Johnson. Do you guys know who he is? He is this guy that is doing all of this, like, basically biohacking. And he looks, in my opinion, I'm not trying to be ugly at all, he just looks translucent. But he's this guy that's doing all this biohacking because he has this goal to live forever. He actually has a Netflix documentary called Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. And I had a dream. Listen to this. I don't follow him. I've not seen this Netflix documentary. I've only seen articles that have come out. So get this. I had a dream that he was my boss. We went to a conference. It was the end of the day, and it was time for us to go back to our hotel room. And so I go back to my hotel room, and he's in my hotel room. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, this is our hotel room. And I was like, no, this is my hotel room. And he goes, yeah, we're staying together. And I was like, no, we're not staying together. You need to get your own hotel room. And he was like, no, we share a hotel room. That's part of the company policy. And I was like, well, I don't want to be part of this company anymore. And he was like, you can't be. You literally signed on the dotted line. And then he brought out this contract, and it showed that I had signed my life away, and I was literally unable to get out of working for him. Can you believe that? Like, what an insane trip. That sounds like I did mad drugs, but really it was just pregnancy hormones. That's insane. I've had some really crazy dreams. That one tops the list for sure, and that will stick with me for the rest of my life. I mean, I woke up and was like, what the hell was that? That was insanity, crazy, borderline, check me into a psych ward, scary. Did not like it. 0 out of 10. Never want to go back there again. Please don't ever do that to me again, brain. That was too much. I have had some really crazy dreams. The dreams that come along with pregnancy are just out of this world. And I gotta be honest, that was one other thing that I was just like so not prepared for. Okay, I know you guys are all dying to know how I found out that I am pregnant. And so here it goes. So Mr. HeHe and I go to Hawaii in February, and we are with his family. It's a family trip. We take a family trip every year, once with my family and once with his family. And this year with his family, we went to Hawaii. And, you know, I'm a big temp drop girl. I have tracked my periods and my cycle since 2018. I knew exactly about my cycle. It is very predictable, and it's like clockwork. I know it. I have a little bit of a longer cycle, which is my normal, and it is just, that's just what it is. It's very predictable. It's a little bit of a longer cycle. It is my normal. I know when it's coming. I know how long it's going to be. Temp drop helps me out with tracking everything and keeping the data, and that's been my life since 2018. I'm very confident in it. It has given me so much insight. I've talked about it for many, many years now, how much I love temp drop and how much control it has given me over my body and my menstrual cycle. So we go to Hawaii, and naturally on vacation, you get out of sync because you're off your routines and you're out of rhythm and you're just living your best life. In Hawaii, it's actually living your best life. And so we are just soaking in the sun. We're spending our days by the pool. We're sleeping in late. We're going to bed early. We're getting full night's rest. We're eating all this fish. So think lots of fish oil. We've got so much olive oil in our system. I'm eating boatloads of fresh fruit every single day. Did I mention that we were soaking up the sun? So my vitamin D levels were like through the roof. I was so happy. My oxytocin was also just skyrocketing. My cortisol, like, who is she? Never heard of her. She's not in the building. And I'll be darned, but I ovulated 6 days early. And of course, I'm not wearing my temp drop because I'm off of my routines. And that's essentially how that happened. That is essentially how that happened, because my body was so relaxed and so nourished and in such a great, happy, relaxed state. I ovulated 6 days early for the first time in basically my life, but i.e. since 2018, since I have been tracking. And that's that. We fell pregnant. Now, obviously, I didn't know I was pregnant. And so we go on about our trip, and we get back home, and I'm waiting for my period. And I typically have really sore boobs leading up to my period anyway. And so my boobs were a little sore, and, then they start getting even more sore and more sore. And I'm thinking, wow, this period is just going to be so brutal because my boobs are so sore. And I also felt like not only was my belly really bloated, but so were my breasts. I felt like they were so much larger. And now that is new. They don't typically get large and swollen before my period, just really sore and tender. And in true pregnant fashion, my period never came, and it never came, and it never came. And so then 9 days later, I'm literally more than a week late. So unusual for me, okay? This is not normal. I'm starting to think, all right, something's up. Now, about 5 to 6 days late, I started to tell Mr. HeHe in a joking way, like, haha, I hope we're not pregnant, ha 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 ha. And we both resigned to the fact, like, we had been traveling. I had gone back to work, so probably cortisol was at play here. And ha ha ha, hope we're not pregnant. We had the confidence of using the temp drop since 2018 as a means to avoid pregnancy. I have not been on birth control since 2018. So we have successfully, intentionally avoided pregnancy since then using the temp drop. And so it is always a joke, like, ha, I hope we're not pregnant. And so this time it was the same thing. It was like, ha, I hope we're not pregnant. But the key here, the kicker, is that my period was actually late. And it never really is late in the past. And if it is, it's like 1 or 2 days late. And again, it can be attributed to I was sick or I traveled or whatever it was. And yeah, so, we get to 7 days and I start to you start to hear the joking in my voice fade a little bit. And Mr. He just reassures me, like, look, we have been traveling for 2 weeks. You just came back to work. You got a lot going on. We are headed into one of the busiest seasons of our life. So when we got back from Hawaii, we each had so much travel. I mean, we've basically been ships passing in the night because this is literally one of our busiest seasons of life thus far. And so he was just so reassuring. Don't worry. Why don't you lay in your sauna mat? Why don't you do some meditations? Make sure you're hydrated. Do your magnesium. Let's make sure that you're getting to bed early. And yeah, your period will show up. Well, 8 days go and 9 days go. And so now in my brain, I'm starting to freak out. I'm like, this is not normal. Something is really not well. And I've already started to wake up at 4 a.m. in the mornings, like clockwork. Now, of course, in my brain, I'm like, I am so anxious. Something's got to give. It's clearly interrupting my sleep. What is happening? So on the night of the 9th day, past when my period is supposed to come. So I am 3 weeks pregnant at this point, okay? Everyone's following. You get pregnant. You got 2 weeks. Now we're a week and 2 days past that. I'm freaking out. I am reeling. I am like, oh my God, I am freaking pregnant. What are we going to do? Oh my gosh, this was not the plan, because you see, Mr. HeHe and I had intentional conversations that I did not want to have a baby in the winter of Boston because I was just really concerned about postpartum anxiety and depression and the loneliness of the winter. And winter up here for me as a Southern Mississippi born and raised girl is just already really hard. It feels really long and it feels really lonely and it feels just a little depressing because it's so cold and isolating and it's hard to navigate the city when there's so much snow, and I feel really resistant to getting out because it's so cold and dreary and yucky and wet, and I just really didn't want to have a baby in the winter. And I had been very upfront with that with everybody in my life, with our friends and our family, on the internet, Mr. HeHe. We had very intentional conversations about when did we want to start trying to conceive based on when I thought would be the best time for me to be postpartum. And that was in July. And so when we got pregnant in February, it was really a shock. And so, as you can imagine, when my period was 9 days late, I am just reeling because, of course, I've already counted up what 9 months is from there. That's November. That's the dead of winter. Exactly what I didn't want. And so, on the night of the 9th day, past my period, we're sitting on the couch, and I turn to Mr. HeHe and I say to him, I think we might be pregnant. And he very softly reaches down and brushes my hair behind my ears and kisses my forehead and just reassures me that the more I freak out about this, the more my cortisol is going to spike and the more stressed my body is going to get, which is only going to further delay my period. And I say, you know what? That's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you so much. You're exactly right. Now, is that what my brain told me? Absolutely not. My brain is saying, he knows nothing. He's a man. You're definitely pregnant. Tomorrow morning, you need to take a pregnancy test. So that's exactly what I did. And you know what? I slept zero the night before. I slept zero that night. I did not fall asleep one time, and I tried everything in the book. I even put in my little ear pods and I tried to play a meditation. I tried to put on a book on tape. I did everything that I knew to fall asleep, and I could not. So I wake up early on the morning of the 10th day of my late period, and I take a pregnancy test, and that sucker lit up bright pink. 2 bright pink lines instantly. It was screaming at me, you are pregnant, girlfriend. Instantly, I think, oh no, what have we done? This was not our plan. What are we going to do? I can't be pregnant. So I dig out the wrapper and I make sure that, of course, that I did it right, which, how do you do a pregnancy test wrong? Obviously, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been helping people in this realm for 10 years. I knew I did it right, but in that moment of alarm bells going off in your head, you are just grasping at all straws, and then I see it. The test expired in 2021. Now, as a reminder, it's 2025, so bingo, there it is. Obviously, I'm not pregnant. The test is faulty because it's 4 years expired. Whew. So I take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, whew, great. I'm not pregnant. That silly test is so expired, it wouldn't even know if I was pregnant or not. So I'm due for a chiropractic adjustment, and I head out to the chiropractor, and I tell myself that on the way home, I am going to go get a pregnancy test, and I will just retest, and obviously it will be negative because that test will not be expired. And that's what I did. So I went to the chiropractor, I got adjusted, I felt better, and I was like, honestly, it's probably anxiety. I needed this chiropractor adjustment. I swung by CVS, I picked up some pregnancy tests, and I came home and I took them. And before I flipped them over, I went and grabbed Mr. HeHe. Now, Mr. HeHe, this is just so unfortunate. He was leaving the next morning at 5 a.m. for one of the biggest business trips of his life. It was not only a very big meeting, but there were multiple of them, and this meeting was pivotal in the business, meaning that if they did not go well, everything that was on the line in these meetings would also not come to fruition. So as you can imagine, I am like, oh my good heavens to Betsy. Do I tell him? Do I not tell him? I mean, I've been trying to drop hints the last couple nights. I even told him just directly last night, I think we're pregnant. And, what do I do? So I go to him and I say, listen, I am not able to concentrate on anything today. And I need to take a pregnancy test. And I know that you have such a big meeting ahead of you, literally tomorrow, and you leave in 18 hours. I'm going to take a pregnancy test for my own mental sanity. I need to know if you would like to be part of that, because if you don't, that's a-okay with me, and I will not be mad at you. I won't hold it against you. I actually will totally understand. That's why I'm giving you this option. But I also don't want you to feel like you weren't included, or I made this decision without you, or like you were robbed of the opportunity to find out if we were pregnant together or not. Instantly, Mr. He says, why would I ever not want to know that? And I'm like, okay, well, you have such a big meeting and a lot is hinging on it tomorrow, literally tomorrow. And he's, okay, I don't care. Our family comes first. I want to be part of this. And he says, okay, take the test. And I said, I already have. Actually, they're waiting on us. They are done. They are developed at this point, and we just need to go read them. So we walk into the bathroom, and we hold hands, and we say a couple sweet things to each other, and we give each other a kiss, and we flip them over, and that's that. We are, in fact, pregnant. All of them read very clearly, you're pregnant. The one that had 2 lines, bright pink lines. The one that had the cross, it could not have been more of a cross. And the one that read out the words pregnant was basically followed by a bunch of exclamation points. I mean, I was so pregnant at this point. It was undeniable. And I think so many people feel so many things in this moment, and I was really overcome and overwhelmed with sadness. I was really sad. Not because we were pregnant, but because it wasn't my plan. Because I felt like the control that I did have, and that the conversations that we had intentionally had and the plan that we had intentionally put to place was no more. And I was pregnant, and that's not how it was, quote unquote, supposed to be. And Mr. HeHe at this point he's ecstatic. He's so happy. He's like, oh my God, we made a baby. This is so cool. I'm so excited. And he also did a really good job of holding space for the feelings and the emotions that were coming up for me. But we were just definitely in 2 different planes at that moment, because I just couldn't wrap my head around that this wasn't my plan. And so for the next couple of days, I really did a lot of internal work, and I really worked within myself to hold space for the fact that I was allowed to be excited and have a lot of gratitude for the fact that we were pregnant, the fact that it happened so easily for us, the fact that we had a very uncomplicated journey to pregnancy, and I was allowed to be sad that it didn't happen in accordance to my plan. I was allowed to be sad that it didn't happen how I had necessarily envisioned. And for me, this was just a really great and sweet moment of what I said earlier, of practicing what I preach, of walking the walk and talking the talk. These are things that I have talked to clients about and friends about for a decade now, and it was my turn to experience that, and gratitude and sadness, excitement and overwhelm. The feeling of and can be so hard for us to hold and to experience. And honestly, I think that me being able to do that and hold that space for myself helped me move through that sadness at a much faster rate than if I had tried to bury it or repress it or try and gratitude myself out of the sadness. So after the reality set in that we were in fact pregnant, I just got to work. I was already doing so many things. I had done so much work. If you follow me on social media, I didn't really do a great job of talking about it here on the podcast, but if you follow me on social media, you know that I was working for about 18 months to get my body ready and healthy into a place that it could not only conceive a child, but sustain a healthy and strong pregnancy. And so I really hammered down on anything that I had not done yet, which wasn't much, but I made sure that instead of just taking my prenatals when I remembered them or on days that it was convenient, I really hammered down on making sure that I took them every single day. I actually changed my probiotic to a higher quality probiotic, one that I'm a little bit more comfortable with in pregnancy. And I added a couple of things into my routine that I felt was important. Iron and choline, two things that I did not do pre-pregnancy because they just weren't something that I felt was important. And with the blood work that I had done, it didn't show that I needed either one of those things. But in pregnancy, I do know that iron and choline are very, very important. I do eat a lot of red meat. I love red meat. And so I do think that my iron levels are probably okay, but I'm not striving for okay in pregnancy. I really want to be optimal, and I decided to add in an iron supplement as well after talking to my practitioners and evaluating the blood work that I had just had literally just a few weeks before falling pregnant. So we evaluated that, and considering that anemia in pregnancy is so common, I already have anemia, so there was really, for me, no downside to adding iron. And then the choline is because I like eggs and I will eat eggs, but as far as eating eggs every single day, in order to get enough choline in pregnancy, your daily recommended amount, you're supposed to eat 2 large eggs, and I just cannot do that. I will be so burnt out on eggs that I will not be able to do that. It's just not sustainable for me. I like eggs, but not that much. And so I decided to add in a choline supplement so that I could ensure, again, that I'm getting that optimal amount of choline every day, because it is so important for your baby's development. I also stuck with the needed prenatals that I was doing pre-pregnancy, but I did start to have a little bit of aversion to swallowing so many pills. At one point, I was doing upwards of 14, 15 pills a day because the needed prenatals, the complete plan, is 8 pills. And then in addition to that, I had all of the other supplements. I had 2 fish oils, I had the probiotic, I had the vitamin B, I had the vitamin D and K, I had the iron and the choline. I had so many pills I was taking, and it started to get a little bit much. And so I actually ordered the needed powder version instead of the capsules, and I now put that in a protein shake in the morning. So it's kind of a double whammy. I get my prenatals in, and I also get the protein from the protein shake, which I am using the Just Ingredients chocolate, and I absolutely love it. I also use that pre-pregnancy. I've been drinking those shakes for a really long time. It just comes in a powder, and I put a scoop in a glass of milk or in a shaker bottle, and it tastes delicious. I feel like it's so easy to drink, and yeah, Just Ingredients is such a good, clean brand. It's something that I have used for a long time for multiple products in our home, and it's also just a brand that I have loved for a long time. I know I have talked about it in other episodes, and yeah, it just seemed like a really nice meshing of 2 products that I absolutely love: the needed powder version of their prenatal in the Just Ingredients chocolate protein shake. Alrighty, I think a good place for me to wrap up this episode is to tell you about the care team that I have intentionally put together to care for me and this little baby on this journey. So, one thing I haven't shared with you, but you are not going to be surprised by at all, is that we are in fact planning a home birth. So, one of the first practitioners that I needed to find that was not already on my care team was a home birth midwife team. We have started our interviews for that process, and we've narrowed it down to our top couple favorites. And in the next couple weeks, we're going to be finalizing our decision and really deciding who is going to be our home birth midwife team. Now, something untraditional that I have chosen to do, and when I say untraditional, not unheard of, it's just not something that a lot of people choose to do, but it is something that was really important to Mr. HeHe and I, and that is having established care at a hospital in our area. So we've actually gone with a birth center here, but the birth center is housed in the hospital. So you know how that goes. It looks like a hospital, but they call themselves a birth center. It is operated by midwives, but there is obstetrician oversight. There is an OR connected, and it's not a freestanding independent birth center. It is operated and owned by the hospital. It's the best that we have in Boston at the moment. A bunch of, almost all of our independent freestanding birth centers in the state of Massachusetts have been shut down. We lost almost all of them during COVID. So we are being seen by a hospital-based midwife for a couple of reasons, two really big reasons. Number one, in the case of a transfer, it's really, really important to me that I am being received by a care team that not only is familiar with me, but also knows my goals. They have followed my pregnancy. They know who I am. They're familiar with Mr. HeHe. We have established care. Number two is that it was really important to me that I had established care within a hospital system because that is where I want our test run. If you don't know about home birth midwifery, or if you don't know much about it, then you may be surprised to learn that each home birth they're able to choose which third party they do testing through. And I don't think that is a bad thing at all. I love the freedom that comes with it. What makes me a little uncomfortable for my own medical care is the quality of third-party testing sites and organizations that are available, and you really don't ever know the quality of the third-party testers. And so for me, any ultrasound or lab or test or procedure that needed to be done or run through a third party, I just prefer to have that third party be an established hospital. And so that is the second reason that we establish hospital care. So any labs or ultrasound or procedure that we would need run throughout this pregnancy, instead of doing that through our home birth midwife and having them send it off to a third party, we will actually just go to our hospital-based midwife, and she'll be able to put in the orders for that and get that run through an established hospital lab. Now, being a doula for the last 10 years, I've been really lucky and blessed to be able to see the landscape of the Boston hospitals. And so we chose our hospital-based facility very, very intentionally. And I have to be honest, I could not be happier. When we first met with our hospital-based midwife, it was someone that I have worked with for years, and I chose her very intentionally, and I had talked about her for many years to Mr. HeHe. And so while he didn't know her, he did have this idea of the type of care that she delivers. And when we walked out of our first prenatal appointment with her, which she spent an hour and 20 minutes with us, Yes, a hospital-based midwife spent an hour and 20 minutes with us for our first prenatal. She was so thorough. She made us feel so supported. She answered every single one of our questions. We did not feel rushed. I was able to accept some things. I declined some things. I delayed a couple things that I was not prepared to make the decision about that day, and we talked about it at a later prenatal. I never felt pressured or rushed. She looked at me. She looked at Mr. HeHe. She included both of us in the conversation. It was literally just magnificent, glorious care. And it's what every woman deserves. And it makes me so sad that this isn't what everybody gets. But when we left that appointment, Mr. HeHe looked at me and said, "Oh my gosh, she is just so good. She's just as good as you have described." And I said, "I know. She is an actual angel on earth." And so we feel so supported by our hospital-based team, and we're really looking forward to finalizing our home birth team and choosing someone that makes us feel just as supported. That way, regardless of where our baby is actually born at, we are able to have a really supported and safe environment to bring our baby in. Now, in addition to our midwifery team, both home birth and hospital based, I already had a couple of practitioners on my team that I have been seeing in the years leading up to this. So I told you about the last 18 months that I was really preparing my body. But beyond that, for the last 3 or 4 years, I have been building my care team that I knew that I wanted to be part of my birth. And this includes a pelvic floor physical therapist. I'm seeing a chiropractor, and I'm seeing an acupuncturist. I also have a functional medicine doctor who acts as my primary care physician, but now that I'm pregnant, I won't see her as much because there's just not as much of a role in pregnancy. But after postpartum and after my midwives release me back to general practice, I will go back to her as my primary care. I just feel a lot more supported, and I feel like the care that I get with a functional medicine doctor is a lot more one-on-one. And the blood work that she was able to run for me was so pivotal in the last couple months of leading up to getting pregnant that it gave me so much insight. And the one thing that I love, and I've posted about this on social media before, but I love that my care team all talk to each other, and my functional medicine doctor kind of heads that communication up. And so any labs that I have run, any diagnosis that we are talking about or thinking about, or that I get diagnosed with, or anything really that comes up in my health journey, she disseminates that across my team, and everyone is aware of everything. And so it's just been so nice to have such a cohesive team. And these people didn't know each other before I became their patient, and it's just really nice to have practitioners that are not only open to working with other people, but really on board, and they gel really well together. They're so communicative, and it's just, I don't know, for me, it's just like the epitome of good healthcare, and I feel really safe and secure in all of their care. All right, you guys, that wraps up my first pregnancy brain dump and pregnancy announcement. I can't believe I'm finally here. I can't believe I get to be on this journey with you. I can't believe I'm having a freaking baby. I mean, this is just insane. I have always wanted to be a mom. I've always pictured myself as a mom. I've always known in my soul, in my intuition, that I will be a mom, and that I'm absolutely going to love being a mom. And it's really surreal and sweet to finally be in this stage of life and to be in my mom era. All right, you guys, I will see you in the next episode. If you're also pregnant, follow along on Instagram. If you want to do pregnancy together, join the Birth Lounge or download the Birth Lounge app. That's where I am hanging out the most. I'm going to be doing periodic updates about the pregnancy on the show. So hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, head to your app store and download the Birth Lounge app for evidence-based childbirth education and data-driven postpartum support delivered straight to your phone. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I love hanging out with you, and it is an honor to be your go-to gal when it comes to preparing for your baby. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review and tell others why they should be listening to the Birth Lounge podcast too. You deserve to have a birth that you love with a provider that values your autonomy and respects informed consent without all the trauma that you so commonly hear about on social media. New episodes air every Wednesday and Friday. Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. I'm HeHe, and this is the Birth Lounge Podcast.